My name's Brian. Some of you have called me Rev on this due to the Rev to the Limit page. That's just a little pun. I don't know that I've ever shared with you guys. I started doing these YouTube videos primarily because I was writing articles over at the Arms Guide, gun reviews. They brought me on to write reviews from a regular guy's perspective. Destiny over there was writing reviews kind of as a regular girl, and her kind of documenting her journey into the firearms world as she'd grown up with a father who was into shooting, and then she's kind of slowly adopted it herself, and then got into it in a serious way. And I thought I should share with you this review that I've been working on for some time before. I thought I should share with you what it is that I'm about, what my background is. Why should you care what I have to say? Honestly, I think YouTube and blogs and gun magazines and a lot of those places, I think it's really apparent that it's not anything more than a glorified water cooler. There are guys that are sitting there that have opinions based upon a ton of experience, and there are a lot of people there that have opinions just because they're people and people have opinions. Then there are those that have really strong opinions, and they're posturing and seeking to communicate to you, whether spoken or unspoken, that they have a higher level of experience than they do. The reason why I'm taking just a moment at the outset to do that, to talk to you about this rather than the rail review that I want to talk to you about today, is I think I'm going to get back into doing these videos, even though I'm not writing as much over at the Arms Guide. I'll get back into writing again, but just in my normal life, I've had a lot of writing to do, a lot of work to do, and so I've had to put this hobby, as it were, on the back burner. So what is it that I do? I am a pastor, and in case you're not aware, there's really no connection between being a pastor and shooting firearms. I'm not a military guy. I'm not an ex-military guy. I'm not a law enforcement guy. I'm not an ex-law enforcement guy. I've done some practical shooting. I grew up hunting. My dad was into shooting, and I learned some things from him. I took some classes, some firearms classes, not a ton. Would love to take more. In fact, if you're a firearms instructor and you want one of those things reviewed, man, holler at me. I'm down. My wife would be down to come. But until then, I'll save and make plans to join some more classes in the near future. Done the competition thing a bit, primarily in the IDPA realm, and done a little bit of that. Enjoyed it, found it a lot of fun, but never a serious competitor. Primarily I shoot with friends, introduce my friends to shooting sports pretty regularly, and I'm in an urban area in the southeast, and as a pastor doing ministry, I have occasion to work with a lot of young men in the urban context. A lot of those young guys are coming back from overseas, having served their country or been in other environments overseas, and they've seen some things, and so I have occasion to work with those guys. I have occasion to work with guys that are from inner city areas, and they've also seen some things, so they're different. And just in my everyday life, I need outlets. I need things to do. That not that I don't have enough to do in the time area, but things to do that don't connect directly. I also have found firearms to be a helpful thing to connect with other men and women over. Sometimes it's helpful when you're trying to talk with somebody and help them process things, to not just sit down and directly talk with them. Sometimes it's helpful to put something in their hand and go do something, and then the conversation doesn't have to go so rapidly. You can just kind of go in and go out and get in that. So there are reasons that overlap between what I do and why I shoot. But even if there weren't, I'd still shoot. I like it. I have worked in the firearms industry a little bit, but always at the nerd level. So I worked for a large independent firearms retailer, but always on the website development or search engine optimization side of things, or those kind of things. I was not their hired, tactical voice, okay? But I care about the things that I own, and I do research, and I enjoy this hobby. And so if that's valuable to you, so be it. If it's not, there won't be very many views of these, and I might not waste my time with them. But here we go. So today I want to talk to you about something that I've been testing for since 2013. So this is a Samson rail system. It's the 12-inch variety, and it is one of many lightweight rails that can go on the AR platform. This is a Wyndham weaponry gun, and it's my personal AR. It's not got all kinds of fancy stuff on it. I'll tell you what it does have. Obviously there's not a mag in it. It's open. I feel kind of weird saying that. All you guys on the internet seem to want to show clear and see it safe and all that stuff. I personally prefer my guns loaded. So maybe before this is over, I'll take the time to load it back up. I do think that, we ought to be safe, but anyway, I can be safe and have a loaded gun. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't own guns. So anyway, this is an aim point, kind of one of the older versions. I've had it for a long time. It's the Comp M2. Got flip-up mag pulls on it. Surefire light, with a mag pull little attachment, Duval Reno, whatever. It's got a VTAC sling on it, and it's pretty straightforward. A mag pull CTR, standard trigger group. My guns are pretty straightforward. This QD mounts on it. There's a little hand stop on the front, and that's relatively new to me. I think I've had it on the gun for right under a year, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Like, I like the whole hand stop thing. I think that's great, but I'm not a huge fan of, and we'll talk more about this in another video because this is all about the rail, but don't miss the fact that this rail allows for the stuff that I'm talking about, right? That's pretty duh, but this particular gun came with your standard AR furniture. So I took off the gas block, put a low profile gas block on it, and then put this free float, Samson free float. See the space around the barrel. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So I put this lightweight, low profile hand guard that goes, this rail system that really is nice because of the way it fits up here, that it pretty much, without gunsmithing experience, it's pretty straightforward to come and lock in place. I was a little bit concerned early on about how tight or how secure that would be, and it's just been phenomenal. I think when I put it on, I put a little bit of that like blue Loctite on it, but it's just what, 2013, it's 2015. I am not a warrior. Well, not in the physical sense, maybe in the spiritual sense or something like that. And I certainly would. You don't want to mess with my family, but no. I mean, I'm not a soldier by trade, not a law enforcement guy by trade. So I'm probably not as hard on my guns as some guys, but I do run them. I do shoot regularly. I don't know what you think regularly is, but several times a month I'm out of the range, and I'm fortunate enough to have places that I can go shoot where I'm not just in an indoor situation shooting straight, standing in little booths or whatever. I can run and crawl around and do all that stuff, depending on how busy land or property that I'm shooting on is. But I can get out there and shoot and move and do what I need to do to practice and make use of my firearms and enjoy them. And so it's done a good job of that was my big concern when I put it on. I was pretty confident that it was gonna hold the gear just fine, pretty confident that it would do what it was intended to do, but I wasn't 100% sure that it would reliably stay in place if I worked the gun very hard at all. And so I've taken my time, I've given it tons of opportunities to fail. And that's the most important thing that I can tell you about this. You can find all the data that you want online, but I'm just sharing with you what was important to me and what I've discovered. So from 2013, mid 2013 to late 2015, about 2 years, I've run this consistently. This has been my primary AR, not my only AR, but the one that I've shot most often. And this has stayed in place. It's been painted with just, I spray paint my guns. It's been painted this same paint job most of that time. Underneath that paint job, before it was painted, I was running it, black. And it looks like it did when it was new. If we cleaned all that off, it looks good. It's not scraped up a ton. You can see some places where the paint has scraped off. Of course, that's going to happen, but it's been very durable. I've been really pleasantly surprised with how stable it's been. It hasn't tried to move, which is the big thing that I was concerned about. It's done its job well. I think it's pretty light in comparison to some of its competitors that are in its same price point. You have to spend more money than the Samson rail, unless something has dramatically changed in the last couple months. You have to spend a lot more money to get a rail that's in the same weight and size, configuration, and those are great options. I like a lot of those rails, but for the price point, I think this is a really strong contender. And so that's what it's all about for me, having fun, enjoying what I have, and having something that will do its job and do it well. I don't have a ton of income that's just free to play with. I'm not at that stage of life, and if I was, I probably wouldn't spend it all on these kind of things. There's just a lot of things that are very important to me about the world and the situation that we're in. My family, I have young kids. I like guns. I have no problem spending money on something that's worthwhile and something that's valuable, but I'm always looking for the best bang for my buck. What can I get that will work and do its job well, and that I won't wish that, man, I really wish that I would have gotten the next step up, but I'm looking for that threshold before we get into spending money and kind of the law of diminishing returns. Hey, I can spend take a watch, and I can spend $20,000 on a watch, but it's really not going to function any better than a watch that's $100, And so I'm looking for what can I get, and maybe there are some features that I can get in a watch that I really care about, and I've got to spend $400 to get those features. I've got to spend $500 to get those features. I have no problem with that. For me right now, and kind of my philosophy, my stage of life, I don't personally want to spend the $10 or the $20,000. I want to find what do I spend to get the most practical usefulness in life, and I don't really want to spend a ton of money beyond that unless there's benefit in step with the value equation, in step with the amount of money that I'm spending. No problem with you guys that want to, and some of you guys, you might justify that because, man, I'm going to get tons of business, or this is a networking thing, or it's a point of connection with people. More power to you, no problem. I'm just talking about my opinion, my perspective, where I'm at. And so for me, the Samson rail is one of those items that falls into that situation, as is the gun that it's on. I mean, I think this Wyndham AR is, it's a midline AR. It's no different than, in my opinion, it's no different than the Bushmasters that I used to run. They're just middle of the road, nothing super fancy, but they do their job for me well. And so, I like them. I'm trying to think what else is on this particular gun. Maybe I can talk about it more at some point, but there's a Griffin Armament compensator on the end. I really dig that. It's a little bit loud, but it does seem to mitigate, that muzzle rise. Not that AR is a ton of, and not the 223 is a ton of, recoil. But every little bit helps when you're trying to run your gun effectively, right? So, I appreciate the gun. I appreciate this rail. If you've got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. If I have the answer, if I don't, I'll probably do research and be able to get you the answer. I mean, we have this amazing thing called Google, right? And if I can't get you the answer, I'll just tell you I don't know. Yeah, imagine that. I'll tell you I don't know. So thanks again for taking time to watch my stuff. We're coming back out. I'll start writing some reviews. That's where you'll find more detail probably on this particular rail and on these other items. If you've got any questions, give me a holler. If you would, I would appreciate you taking the time to let me know that you've enjoyed this. Like it, subscribe, let your friends know about it. If you think it sucks, man, keep it to yourself. Just don't watch it. You want to do the thumbs down thing, whatever. You want to tell me I don't like it, that's fine, but it's not going to change a whole lot about what I'm doing. I'm doing this because I enjoy it. So, thanks for your time.